Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this recap video I'm going to answer one of a couple burning questions. There's actually 3 burning questions that I've got right now. One is, will the Canadian dollar re-strengthen? And that's a series of trades that we put on today on the heels of the data out of Canada. Remember, the Canadian dollar is the second strongest currency out there, second only to the US dollar. So there are some incredible opportunities in the Canadian dollar futures and on the Forex side in the currency known as the loonie. The other burning question has been where and when are currencies correcting? That's been a big one too. You know, at what point do crude oil, the RBOB gas contract, heating oil, and even natty gas, when does that thing take off? And the third has been, Raghee, with the big sell-off in gold, looking at the way gold has sold off this week, slicing through that 1300 level. The question I've been getting is, Rog, does gold actually retrace its steps back above 1300? And does this turn into possibly a buy along the way? And maybe even retracing up to 1318, 1320. And what do we do there? So let's talk about that question and what that means to where we sit right now in gold. Now, it's not like me to always pull Fibonacci levels. There are a number of Fibonacci levels, quite frankly, all over this chart. I mean, there are absolutely probably, let's see, 1, 2, I can think of 3 or 4 based upon last major moves all over this chart. One of the considerations I have is for where this last major move extends. Okay, you can see where that puts us right there between the 168, 176. That was an interesting one. And even where this smaller, but still I would say a recent insignificant move, where that extends to. And again, it's near the 177. I mean, you can see the wicks nailing the Fibonacci level. So I think there's some interesting levels in play. Now, that's not necessarily all I'm going to consider. I think there is a certain validity to some of these extensions, even though we broke in 1300. That gets me curious, but it's more than curiosity that's going to get me into a trade. The next question is, how and when do we have a path to the upside? And one of a handful of trades that we took today was the gold market. Now, a few things. One, we're getting into the 2-week window to first noticed date on the June contract. So I've been keeping an eye on the Q or the August contract for this trade. So I don't mind looking at the Q contract here. In fact, this trade I took was on Q, on the August contract. It works on June as well, and I think you're fine. Like I said, we're 2 weeks from the first notice date. So it's a long position. And it's a long that requires the market to rally through a resistance level, showing me that we have momentum to the upside as we put on what I call a wave reversal buy. I mean, that's what I'll literally put in my notebook, WRB, wave reversal buy, that triggered right back in here. So we do have a long position going into next week in gold. And a lot of times when you have a market that has sold off, as gold has on the daily, one of the things that I'll do is use an intraday short term, 60 minutes or less, that kind of time frame to help me identify where the market could start to turn around, where that low might be put in. So I might use some Fibonacci retracements or extensions to identify the validity of that kind of level, maybe simmering down. I will use major psychological levels nearby. I might use a series of gaps that we're sitting at. I mean, take a look. We have some interesting gaps here in gold. So just there's a number of technical levels that show me that this could be where gold simmers down. Not to mention the fact that this might be a minor low right there. Not to mention we've spent 3 sessions not really punching down to lower lows. So it's probably a pretty ripe time to look for an intraday path back to the upside. And that is the one that we've taken, the one on the 60-minute chart, which apparently I've minimized somewhere. There we go. On the 60-minute chart, that's the one I'm interested in. That is an alert that got sent out to Simpler for Futures members. And we'll see how this works out for next week. See you in the next update.